July 21st, or in my case, July 20th, a day that's going to go down in movie watching history. 2023 has already been one of the best years for movie releases that we've seen in a long time, and it just got even better. Two of the best movies I've seen this year, both released on the same day. There's been memes about it, it's been hyped up for months now, and it's finally here. And what a day it was. Been a long day, I'm exhausted, but I'm also thrilled to be talking about both of these movies and to answer the question once and for all, what's the real movie of the summer? Is it Barbie or is it Oppenheimer? My name is Caleb Griffin from Next Topic Media. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that like button for more content like this. With that being said, let's get on with it. So it's hard to compare these movies head to head just because they're so entirely different. One is a movie that is funny, it's goofy, it's silly, it looks like a fake made up world, but it makes you think about some serious topics. On the other hand, one has a very serious and dark tone throughout the entire movie and makes you think about completely different things. They both completed their goals, in my opinion, nearly flawlessly. Both had star-studded casts with incredible acting, and there's really not much to complain about when it comes to either one of these movies, and it's a day I'm going to remember for a long time. So with that being said, let's talk about each movie individually, starting with Barbie. The pacing was very well done. The Barbie land looked really, really cool. Everything looked fake, and it was supposed to. The acting was very, very good in this movie. Ryan Gosling, standout performance as always. Ryan Gosling was one of my favorite humans on the planet before this, and now he's probably moved up a couple spots just because of how awesome his role was. And it was just something that was really fun and enjoyable to watch. I laughed a lot more than I thought I would. I thought a lot more than I thought I would. And yeah, I left the theater just happy. I actually left the theater wondering, is Oppenheimer going to be this good? With all that being said, there were some creative decisions I just didn't think were the best decisions that were made. But that's just really me nitpicking at stuff. There wasn't a lot you could complain about with this movie. I know I've used the word fun a lot, but I think fun is the best way to describe Barbie. It was really, really fun. From the opening scene, I was already laughing. The acting was weird, but it was what it was supposed to be. If this was a different movie acted the way it was, you would think the acting was bad, if that makes sense at all. But it was supposed to be acted the way it was for a reason, and it worked very, very well. The costumes were incredible. The music numbers were absolutely incredible. As a Matchbox 20 fan, I loved hearing Ryan Gosling sing a Matchbox 20 song while playing guitar. It made me very, very happy. It made me laugh, and I just left the movie with a smile on my face because it was a really fun watch and a really great movie. Now, Oppenheimer, once again, just a very, very, very different movie. This movie is going to be remembered with classics like The Godfather, Singing in the Rain, Titanic, Casablanca, Schindler's List, The Green Mile. Just those movies that you see on everybody's top 10 list somewhere. This movie is going to make it on those lists and be remembered for a long time. And if it's not, I'll be very disappointed in moviegoers of our time because, wow. Like I said, this year has been crazy good for movies. I left John Wick 4 just crazy impressed. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, crazy impressed. Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, crazy impressed. Mission Impossible, crazy impressed. As well as other movies that have come out this year. But just being in complete awe of a film, I have not been like that in so long, and it was so nice to watch a movie that actually put me through those emotions again and just really, really appreciate an incredible work of art. Me and Evan Lytle, my co-host on Two Nerds on a Boat, we made a video about directors and where we would put them on a tier list, and I had Christopher Nolan in B tier, and I said he was either one bad movie away from going to C or one good movie away from going to A, and he might be an S tier after this movie. This movie was that good. I don't want to get too detailed about my complaints because I don't want to spoil too much. There is one complaint I have with this movie, and it's just a decision they made that I think took away from the movie that was unnecessary. That was an unnecessary decision, but once again, that's just me nitpicking at something and looking for problems with the movie because I'm supposed to be reviewing it, right? I found one problem with this movie. You take that decision out of the movie, this movie is literally perfect. You wouldn't think Oppenheimer sitting in a government hearing would be as exciting of a scene as Oppenheimer testing the atomic bomb. Guess what it was? Everything from the cutting, the cinematography, the music, the score in general, just all like the sound effects, the score, everything in this movie was done so perfectly, other than the one flaw I talked about. But wow, I mean, I don't know what else to say about this movie. For the 3 hour runtime, it didn't feel that way at all. Sure, it felt like it was a long movie, but it was paced very, very well. One thing I forgot to mention here was Christopher Nolan's decision to cut to different spots in the timeline throughout the film was a great decision, because instead of following a story start to finish for 3 hours and having it feel stagnant and extra long, you got to see everything come together at the end and see how all these different events added up, and it worked very, very well and really helped with the pacing. And I think the music really helped with that too. And the acting was incredible, a star-studded cast. Robert Downey Jr. standout performance. I feel like the MCU has limited so many actors and actresses, because you look at a guy like Chris Evans. I used to not think he was that good of an actor until I saw Knives Out and The Gray Man. Chris Evans plays a much better villain than he does a hero. It's just facts. You can try to argue that with me if you want. Go watch Knives Out and The Gray Man, and if you still disagree with me, then I don't know. And now I think Robert Downey Jr. might be in that same boat. This is the best I have seen RDJ act in anything. And I love Iron Man. He's had some incredible lines, some incredible moments in the MCU. I love him as Sherlock as well. But this was incredible. This was such a good performance, and seeing him as a villain, it's so weird because he's literally Iron Man. He is the face, or was the face of the MCU for so many years, and here he is as this villain, and he plays it perfectly. And not just him, Emily Blunt's acting, incredible. Matt Damon never turns in a bad performance. Cillian Murphy never turns in a bad performance. This cast was incredible. And I mean, just the story of Oppenheimer, I don't know too much about him. I mean, I knew what the Manhattan Project was before this movie. I knew who the characters in the movie, for the most part, were before this movie. And I knew who Oppenheimer, like what Oppenheimer was known for. But I didn't know the story in as much detail as this movie gave it to you. And if this movie is accurate, this is the greatest story in American history. And I'm not over-exaggerating when I say that. Just an incredible story. And it was put on the big screen nearly flawlessly. So when it comes to me, the movie of the summer, the movie of the year, and probably the movie of the decade is Oppenheimer. With that being said, if you believe Barbie's the movie of the summer, I totally understand that. Because Barbie was a great movie, and it was just completely different. I know people who would sit through Oppenheimer bored, falling asleep, not paying attention, because it's just not the type of movie they're into. And on the other hand, those are the same people who would walk out of Barbie saying it's one of the greatest movies ever. So if you think Barbie is the movie of the summer, you have reason to believe so, because it was a great movie, and what it did really well. It was a fun watch, it was a great movie to watch, and it's a movie I would go watch again, but Oppenheimer is just one of the greatest movies of all time, and I really do believe that. Now, I will need to go watch it again to confirm, and I can't wait to go watch this movie again, but I really do think this is one of the greatest movies we have ever seen, and I really hope 25 years from now, this movie's coming back in theaters for its anniversary, because it's just that great of a movie. So my vote for movie of the summer, movie of the year, movie of the decade is Oppenheimer. And there are a lot of titles I'm very excited to see later this year. I'd be very shocked if any of them came close to this movie. This is my favorite movie of the year so far. And it's got some close competition from previous movies, but it's just so hard to look at those past movies that I've ranked so high and be like, oh yeah, that compares to Oppenheimer. Just because Oppenheimer standalone is so different than, just because, I guess it's because the story is just so intense and so groundbreaking that it's hard to compare to even other historical drama films. Like, this story just meant so much, and they just capture that so well. Watching Oppenheimer deal with the guilt of what he did and what he created, and then wondering, like, did we do the right thing? Did our government do the right thing? I was riding home with the person I went and saw the movie with, and we had a long conversation about, should we have dropped that bomb? And it's really interesting to think about and talk about. And that's just kind of like the power of movies, that they can make you think and feel these things that you couldn't do just by reading a textbook or watching a documentary about it on the History Channel. The story has to be told in a certain way from a certain point of view to make you think the way it does. And Christopher Nolan did that so well, and Greta Gerwig did that so well with Barbie too. I thought about things after watching Barbie that I never once thought about before. And I will say, if this hoodie ever comes out in stores, I'm definitely buying one because it's awesome. Both movies were awesome in their own right. I just think it's just not fair to Barbie to compare to Oppenheimer, because Oppenheimer is genuinely, I think, one of the greatest movies of all time. That is where I'm going to end this video. Let me know what you thought about Barbie and Oppenheimer down below. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I'll see you guys in the next video.